Pozdrav svima i dobrodošli u još jedan Jao Mile podcast. Pre svega, zahvalnost Admiral Betu i Matijašić Vinogradima na sponzorstvu da ovo sve funkcioniše kao što ste do sada i navikli. Mala molbica, zapratite naše ove mreže, ima nas od YouTubea, Instagrama, TikToka, Twittera, Facebooka naravno, tako da tamo smo, delimo te kratke forme, može i neka konverzacija, što bi se reklo, da se napravi tamo ako želite, ako ste raspoloženi i ako imamo vremena. Ovako, podelit ćemo sada i, u stvari proglasit ćemo, nećemo podeliti, a u stvari podelit ćemo, tako, i delimo i proglašujemo pobednika za patike Demi Lillarda. Pobednik je Žikica Petrović, koji je imao jednu fantastičnu rimicu. Koga to bude zanimalo, može da se vrati na video i emisiju kada smo radili sa Radetom Džambićem, tako da možete tamo da pogledate. Žikice, svaka čast za rimicu, lepo je ovo sve zvučalo i patike su tvoje. Javi nam se na Instagram, bravo, može tamo da nam se javiš, da vidimo te podatke, gde da ti šaljemo i kako ti da dođeš ili da preuzmeš, dođeš ovde, kako god. Uglavnom, piši nam na Instagram da vidimo da to preuzimanje regulišemo. Danas imamo jednu potpuno drugačiju formu nego na koju smo vas navikli do sada od po 2-3 sata. U pitanju će biti jedan kraći razgovor, pre svega bit će na engleskom. Prvi podcast koji radimo na engleskom jeziku, tako da imajte razumevanja, ali nadam se da će to sve biti savršeno. Pre svega imam i čast i zadovoljstvo da ugostim vlasnika australijske košarkaške lige, gospodina Larrya Kestelmana. On je sa nama danas u studiju i kao njegovu desnu ruku, partnera ajde kažemo u ligi i u biznisu i u svemu što rade, je moj veliki prijatelj Nikola Milivojević. Ajde da podvučemo i to, ja i Nikola smo veoma dobri prijatelji, znamo se već preko nekih 15, možda i više godina, dok sam boravio u Americi, tamo smo se upoznali, tako da ovo prijateljstvo traje već jedan duži period i evo ga, zahvaljujući Nikoli, danas imat ćemo jedan divan razgovor ovde u studiju. Guys, welcome to my show and pleasure to host you.
Glad to be here.
Thank you.
Larry, tell me your impressions from Serbia, Belgrade. You're first time here, right?
First time, and in actual fact, truthfully, it's the second time. The first time was only for a couple of days when I was very young, so I remember very little of it, but they're good memories and have really enjoyed the first couple of days. A lot of fun.
So, weather time is not but it's okay to walk around.
No, it's been great.
How does Nikola show you around?
It's good to be with a local, being shown around both during the day and at night. So it's a lot of fun.
Today's weather is much nicer, so it's actually Belgrade at true light.
So that's cool. That's cool. Tell me, what does it bring you to Belgrade?
So we're actually heading off to Lithuania for the Final Four. That's the main sort of purpose for the visit, but combining also a little bit of fun. My son is getting married, so that's part of the trip here, as part of his Bucks trip, and enjoying basketball, meeting a lot of very, very interesting people like yourself and others. We know Serbia's got an amazing history and traditions around the sport, so meeting a lot of fun people.
Okay, it's cool. Hope some good connections you will make here and make something good for your business and your league.
Absolutely. We want to see how we work closer with Serbia and Europe in general. We already have a lot of great players that have come from this part of the world, and we want to see how we work closer together.
Can you tell me, please, how you get in a basketball world? As I know, that's not your industry, right?
No, I mean, standing next to you, it's obvious that I don't play basketball. So, no, my background is very much more business. So I've been involved in business in Australia since my late 20s. So the thing that I bring to basketball is the business nous. And I got involved when both a club we were loving and supporting was in financial trouble, and then the league. So I've been in the business of basketball now for 13, 14 years, but started more enjoying the sport of basketball as a family, as our business associates, and when we saw the sport in trouble, we wanted to see what we as business people can actually do to make it more sustainable. In Australia, we all know how great the level of play is, but I have to say the professionalism of the business of sport, in particular for basketball, just wasn't there. So that's the thing that I think myself and our group of businesses bring to the sport.
Okay, but before you step in, did you know that basketball is unprofitable at all? Like at least here in Europe?
That it's uncomfortable?
Unprofitable.
Unprofitable. Yes, I did know that because the team that we were supporting, which was the Melbourne team called the Melbourne Tigers, was in huge financial trouble. It was probably going to disappear, and 15 other clubs in Melbourne had actually come and gone. So I knew that it was a huge challenge, so I certainly didn't get into the sport because I thought it was the most profitable business to get involved in. It was literally something that I felt that we as a family could help, for starters, the club itself, and see if we can make it actually sustainable and profitable and never to see it disappear. So it needed a lot of work just to fix the club. But unfortunately, once we fixed the club, the league itself was in trouble as well. And that's when we stepped in to also help the league.
You decided to hold the league, right?
Yes, no, that was a interesting move on our part. I think a lot of people thought we were pretty crazy from a financial point of view and what it would actually take. So we ended up buying out a lot of the rights, and now we actually own a perpetual right to operate professional basketball in Australia. So it's a big privilege, and it was a big risk, but it's very much paid off.
Which is really, like, I think the only professional basketball league or league of any sort in, let's say, Western world that's owned by one person.
Yeah, I'm not aware of another one. I don't know. I heard maybe something in Costa Rica or somewhere. I'm not sure, but as far as I know, I'm not sure that anyone else does. And that's the big privilege, I think, for Nikola and I to work on a business that we can make decisions. I think where we've seen a lot of leagues struggle is where no decisions can be made.
Yeah, that's what we talked yesterday. What kind of problem here we have in Europe? There is no one guy who run all the league, so for the league. So it's really, I mean, here it's hard to fix it because clubs, they don't have owner. Especially here in Serbia, because almost every club is a government club. So that's what we struggle with. We struggle with that.
Yeah, we're learning the model here. It was interesting to hear how the clubs actually operate in Serbia with government involvement. So no doubt a lot of politics, no doubt a lot of controversies, but that's also part of the fun. And I don't know what you guys are doing, but the sport is in great shape from a viewer's point of view. So we've watched a number of games with Nikola getting up nice and early in the morning in Australia.
4 a.m. for all the partisan games. Yeah.
So no, it was good to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me, did you have any resistance by federation and other clubs in Australia when you decided to do the league?
It's definitely a lot easier not to have as much resistance when something was so broken. So when things are okay, I don't think this could have ever happened. So it's not that I had resistance, but people were very much hesitant. What does that mean? But it was in such bad shape that they thought that it's still a better alternative than the other. So I can't say that I was welcomed in with open arms by everyone and saying this is amazing that you want to do it. Both the clubs and the federation wanted my involvement, but I wouldn't do it unless I had control. So there were definitely some soul searching on both sides of the fence, but at the end they still thought that I was the better of the two evils. So, but it's taken a lot of time for people, I think, to get to know me and to trust what I do. There are a lot of wealthy and successful business people that get involved in sport for all sorts of reasons, and then they lose interest. But because I've been around the sport now for so long, I think there's more and more trust being built.
Okay, that's cool. I really hope that somebody here will recognize your model and try to bring it here to make a league much better and much comfortable for players, for clubs, I mean, now after retirement, my basketball career, I'm looking from the business side. So I'm not anymore players, and I'm looking like business model, how somebody works. And how difficult for you is like run a league from the start?
Yeah, at the start it was very difficult because we started with literally zero. There were very little revenues. The league was in huge financial trouble, so it was a very large investment by myself into the league to rebuild it. So we had to start almost from the start. So the first 3-4 years was extraordinarily difficult, and slowly now, after 8 years, we're doing really well. The league is growing quickly, it's profitable, and it's now recognized as the second best domestic league in the world. Very even competition. I think we've been able to rebuild trust with everyone involved, being players, owners, sponsors, broadcasters. So we now have a great platform that we show our games on. In Australia, we're on ESPN, and our version of pay television, biggest platforms in Foxtel and KO. So the distribution is quite substantial. We're on free-to-air television as well. So yeah, the sport is in good shape. Grassroots is very, very important. We've got nearly 2 million people playing the game in Australia, 1.2 million registered, almost all of them, I would say, kids or youth. So the pathway is very, very strong. The game is in very good shape in Australia.
There is now is like rumors going around the world that it's a good league for young players. So you do like a great job there to develop players, and how you see that?
Yeah, so I think what's transpired over the last, in particular, 5 years is that we've recognized ourselves, and NBA's recognized our league as the easiest one and the most, I think, comparable league to the NBA for when players come to play in our league. So we've got so many scouts, we've got so many eyes of US teams, and the whole business of basketball looking at Australia. So when people come and play in our league, it's very easy for a scout to understand the level of play and how that will translate to the NBA. Our game looks something in between the NBA and EuroLeague. So the style of play and how we play the game and what we do is closer to the NBA than what it is in Europe. So when a player comes to our league and they want to get better, they're playing in a high professional league, they get prepared for the NBA. And we've had players like LaMelo Ball, RJ Hampton, Josh Giddey, and many of these young players who come play for a year with us, get ready and have proven to be very high draft picks. So it's a model that seems to be working really well from the player's point of view. And that's how we look at it. What's right for the player, and it's proven to be a huge success. And that program called Next Stars is growing from year to year very, very well.
My opinion, when you decide to bring a LaMelo Ball to the league, that put you like all lights on you guys.
Yeah, that was a bit of a risk on our part, on their part. I don't think anyone knew 100% how good he is. He was playing, I think, in a bit of a unknown standard of basketball, so how his game will shape up. But we had lots of conversations with him and his management. I think we agreed that it's not a LaMelo Ball or actually the Ball family show, that this is about basketball. And we were glad to hear that that's exactly what he wanted. He wanted to actually get better at the game, and it proved to be right. He was actually a very hard worker. He worked at his game a lot and loved it, and it proved to be a huge success.
Tell me, he came from the high school or?
No, he was actually playing in Slovenia or
Lithuania with the brothers.
He was playing in this part of the world.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
But when he came, like, he really, wasn't like top 3 picks or anything like that. He was like, lots of potential, and obviously, potential for a first rounder. But he's done incredibly well to actually develop, work on his game, and then become what he is now, and get that really high draft pick that really put it in NBL on the map.
Yeah, and that's what people didn't see. They know the social following, they know the family and the noise around it, but I have to say the kid worked his butt off. He was in the gym early, he was on the beach training, post-game. He actually worked really hard that year to improve his game, and sort of by halfway through the season, he was actually doing extremely well, and then obviously went on to have a great NBA career. And the same as a few of the other players that have been through it. For them, it's all a little strange when you're all of a sudden feeling like you're a successful high school player or college player, and then you come up against grown men playing for their paycheck. It's a very, very different game, and there's no welcome young man, we're going to look after you. It's like you're here, I'm going to do my best against you. And I think that's what they need to get ready for the NBA.
Tell me, how many, how many young players, like next generation, were calls per team?
How many do you think, Nikola, this year?
Well, I think, this year we'll have, at least 5, which are actually signed, potentially, hopefully even 1 or 2 more. But varies from year to year. Like I think when LaMelo was there, we had 6. Then I think 3 went getting drafted, and then a couple others the year after. But this year we're looking at a really great talent pool, and I think there's 5, and potentially we might be able to get 1 or 2 more before everything is said and done.
Okay, tell me, what's up? What's the coming new thing about that league in the future? What was the plan?
Yeah, so I think this has been a real rebuilding stage for us. So the first nearly 8 years now has been about building a really, really strong platform. And I think we have great visions for what the league can be. And our sort of main 3 strategies are around domestic growth. So we want to grow. We're currently a league of 10 teams. So we play across Australia and New Zealand. One team is actually located in New Zealand but plays in our league. So domestic growth, continue to grow the fan base, continue to grow the audience, and that's doing really, really well. We're looking to potentially introduce at least a couple of new domestic teams into the competition over the next couple of years. So I can see a day in the next 5 years where we go from 10 teams to 15 teams.
Okay.
So growth is very much on that program for us. Our eyes are also on Asia. So we're in the time zone around a huge population in our region, and being such a high level product, even though NBA without a doubt is the best in the world, but for them to get to Asia is quite difficult. The time zones, the distance. So we want to grow our game and be connected closer into the huge regions of Japan, Indonesia, obviously China. We've done a lot of different tours already into China, into the Philippines. So growth of our sport, but in particular our league, into Asia is a big strategy. And the other one is because we're so recognized now in the US. We have something like 20 plus players that have come through the NBL that now are playing in the NBA. So the connection is huge. We've got our next stars going from the NBL into the NBA. So we have a strategy that we want to get more awareness and more eyeballs out of the US onto our league as well. So we'll be looking how to ramp up the next star program and how to make it even bigger.
And I think that's what's great to see now, that it used to be is that we would get people coming from the NBA to NBL, but particularly last couple of years, we actually have a number of players that have actually gone the other way around, to the degree Xavier Cooks with Sydney Kings, he won championship on Sunday night, and then I think Thursday or Friday he was already suiting up for Washington Wizards, coming off the bench, double last game of the season. Melbourne United lost a couple of players to the NBA, like with Jack White going to Denver Nuggets, and Jock Landale, then Matthew Dellavedova to Sacramento this last season. So it's really incredible to see not only getting a one-way traffic, but now actually get people going the other way around, and truly for people to recognize that NBL is legitimate channel and a pathway for people, whether we're talking about young players here and next stars, but also for the experienced players, coming in, working on it, and then getting their another shot or second time around to just build their craft in NBA.
Interesting one is a guy like Torrey Craig.
Yeah.
So he was
defensive player of the year.
That's right, and he was someone that I think wasn't on anyone's radar, and came to play in one of our sort of smaller teams, and improved and showed what he can do, and ended up having a great career in the NBA now for a number of years. So
he's a thing with Jock Landale now together.
Yep. So I think that's our goal, is to continue down the path, and this is what Nikola's role within the business is, to help it grow. So he's director of growth, and anything to do with expansion and growth is something that him and I are going to work on. This part of the world, I mean, that's his home. That's where
Back
he grew
home.
up. So I think it definitely resonates, and we'll see how we can work closer, and obviously headed up by him in this part of the world. How do we work closer with both teams, players? How does Australia and Serbia work closer together? I think there's a deep love for the sport from both countries. So what else can we do? And business is important, but also having some fun.
That's true. Anyway, Australia is far away from here, right? But Balkan have like huge society there, right?
Yeah.
So this is a great opportunity to like say that young players, talented, who have like chance to be drafted, whatever, to choose Australia for playing the basketball, right?
Yeah, and that's I think what we want to see happen. We can't. It's not about us coming here and trying to get every great young player. I think if every year we had one or two players from this region come and play in our league, I think it's something we can help them with. The Next Stars program is very player centric. So it's about making sure that it's the right thing for that player. So I don't necessarily think we're for everyone. I think we need to assess and make sure that that player will benefit the most from coming to Australia. If it's not right, it's not right. So the player needs to be of a certain standard. They need their body type needs to be right. They need to be ready to play. It's not a token experience. It's a serious business, and the players of a very physical nature, so they need to be ready for it.
That's a great way to let's say bring them closer how this NBA actually works. Your program, I think it's similar to NBA, so for them it can be like a good way to like prepare for the big step.
Yeah, for sure. And we want to keep improving our program. I think we're learning as well, and I think other training such as media training and helping them get ready for what does it mean to be a professional basketball player, but also star. Most of these guys are going to go on to multi-million-dollar contracts from day one. They're celebrities even before they start. So how to help them deal with their stardom, how to help them deal as professionals, what does that mean? The work ethic, the training, but then all the other things that you have to do as a professional. So media, sponsorships. So I think that's a really good exposure, and we will keep improving this program over the next few years. And that's something that Nikola in Australia will also work with our team there as to how do we keep building this as a more global product.
Because it has to be the whole ecosystem, right? In today's day and age, it's not just about one part of it, whether it's basketball on the court, but also off the court. And, how do we create the entire ecosystem where we know, that we are far away, so the product has to be incredible. It has to be right for the player and vice versa. But we're really looking to create something special where the players know if they spend a year or a couple of seasons there, that they'll have it in the entire ecosystem on the court and off the court and support to ensure that they're solely focused on developing their craft and moving up, getting that experience of playing in the league that's making significant progress, and it's kind of geared towards the NBA to really help them get that one step closer. And the ones that have gone through it are a true testament that the pathway is there.
I mean, that's clear. It's up to them to decide which way they want to go. So I mean, both sides are far away from here. US or Australia, it's take a while to get there. But
and now when you look at the travel, I think we were on Monday. Within 24 hours, we were left Melbourne, Dubai, managed to have lunch, spend a few hours, and then end up having dinner here in Belgrade. So the world is getting smaller and smaller. So even the distances are not what they used to be. So it's definitely
now with all those techniques, internet, whatever we have, it's easy to like talk with the family back here. I know when I was in a
long
US,
way away from New Jersey Nets,
so
when you and
really
I met.
Hard to even speak with your family.
But I think for us, and we've had this now happen with a number of the Next Stars, where the families actually come and stay in Australia with them. For example, RJ Hampton, he had his family, I think, pretty much for the whole year with them. So we help accommodate, we help make sure that they fit in, and it's part of their program. So the same, as I said before, it depends on the player. Some players operate better with their family there. Some players operate better with certain distance and particular interactions. So for us, we just have a very simple view on it. We need to listen to the player, what they need, and figure out what's best for them, and then set up the right program. Our goal is to make sure that everyone that comes to our league from that Next Star program ultimately gets drafted and goes on to a great NBA career. So we will do everything we can to set it up for the individual in the right way.
And I think that's the advantage that Larry has, is that, you know, having the league, we can create the right team, right products to actually, when it comes to development, as you know, it's all about playing time. And how do we provide the platform that the kids actually have the opportunity to play and develop? Everything is so competitive today. The winning is extremely important. Lots of them might not get the opportunities, but here, as we're setting up the Next Star programs, it's all about creating that platform where the players will have enough playing time to ensure that they progress and develop whilst competing in a grown man league, and whilst competing at the level that will get them that much closer.
That's what we struggle here in Europe. Young players, they don't have the playing time, so they sit on the bench. They, let's say, lost all the season watching how the other guys play. So that's
and that's why what we do, we actually contract the players as a league. So it's actually not the club contracting the player. We as a league contract the player, but in conjunction with straight away knowing which club they're going to go to. Because I think what you said is a very important point. You want that player to actually play. So you need the buy-in from the coach. You need to make sure that it's the appropriate player for that team, that they will actually get court time. So we work together as a combined unit between the league, obviously the player and his management and his family, and the club. So the coach does the interviews. We go through all that thought process before to make sure that that's the right club for that player. So we take very, very close control of that as a league. And then mentoring, I think, is important. We've got a great person who's a head of our player liaison. He played a lot in Europe, and you might know him from the NBA days as well. And a guy by the name of David Anderson.
Big guy.
25 years. I think no one else has played more professional seasons of basketball, and certainly for Australia, the most decorated player when it comes to the number of trophies won.
I think he's got something like 25 trophies and played all around the world, NBA, Europe, Australia, came back, won a championship in Australia. So he's someone that works with us, and we'll be working closely with Nikola on the Next Star program as well, as a mentor figure for the young guys.
Oh, that's good. I mean, for me, he's like a great choice for a mentor, right? With his experience, what he through his career, that's good choice, guys. So anything else we wanna say?
No,
Did
I think
miss something.
No, not missing. I think the interesting angle here is the fact that Nikola is from this part of the world. So for families and players and kids and agents and owners, I think it's always good that you can relate to someone and he understands the nature of the people, what's needed. So I'm excited because he can connect closer with this part of the world and see how we can work closer together. So I think me coming here is terrific, and I meet yourself and I meet a lot of people, but I think it quite wouldn't be the same if I was coming here and trying to convince families and young players to come to Australia. I truly probably don't understand all the intricacies and the culture, even though I was born in this part of the world, sort of in Ukraine, but every place is different. So I'm really excited to see how we can form that close connection between our league and yours, but it's the whole ecosystem. It's clubs. We met with Mishko and understand the program he runs, and all the success to him with the young players that he's had. I think it's incredible. How do we work with people like himself, the actual teams here, federation? So we want to learn, understand how we can work together for ultimately the benefit of the players. If we're the right place for them, then we're very happy to help them make it to the NBA.
And that's the part. Like, I mean, we have a couple of the players, you know, in the NBL, you know, from, you know, territory former Yugoslavia, Serbia. But I think that there's a great opportunity, you know, whether we're talking young players coming in, but just even clubs. You know, we just had a, you know, interview one of the coaches for a coach's position, like, you know, from Serbia here. So the key is, like, we can also definitely benefit from the knowledge and the experience and the history and culture of the game that's been developed here. And definitely we'll be looking, you know, to kind of get some of the expertise on the other side of the pond and really also benefit. So definitely it's all about building a closer relationship, working, you know, bringing some of the clubs up there when the time allows, players, coaches. So really looking forward to what the next few years will bring.
I'm devastated that we're going to the Final Four and Partizan is not there.
Nah.
I think it's devastating. That would have been the perfect finish to our trip, to come here to Belgrade, meet the people, meet the teams, and actually go and
we have Dante Exum there, so I'm obviously growing up like a Partizan.
He's right?
Yeah. So Dante is great, and like, I mean, I grew up Partizan fan, so it's been last 3 games were very painful. Very painful to watch.
I feel sorry about you.
I know.
I'm proud you are part of this program of NBL, and like, I'm proud that you will represent Serbia there. So
it's been a long way away from the days of New Jersey, because Mile and I we actually met in Orlando when Darko was playing, Darko Milicic, and then you came to visit just the first year you were drafted. Definitely had some good parties up still. Won't forget that Halloween.
He didn't party when he was playing, did he?
That Halloween night at the Cane, like, was definitely one of the great memories.
It's all great memories.
Yeah. You need to qualify that was in the off season.
That was October 31st, definitely off season of the NBA. Yeah,
I still have some pictures from that part.
Yeah, we'll save that for between us. And great to see you. I mean, you've done it incredibly well, and it's fantastic to see your entrepreneurial spirit and just, you know, working on a few different things. And I can tell you, like, the Jao Mile is being watched, like, in Australia.
I have fans in Australia as well, so there is people from there calling, writing. So
I think there's a big community. There's a big community from the former Yugoslavia. We've got a lot of friends, connections. So I think they'll be interested to see how we can work together as well. And as Nikola said, maybe bring a couple of the teams over at some stage, youth teams. We want to see how we work closer. There's no doubt an amazing culture here of basketball, and you only need to watch some of the games to see the love and the passion. So a lot to be learned by us, and we're on the journey to keep improving. So enjoying it.
Guys, I appreciate. Thank you one more. Hopes everything will work well on a Final Four, on the league, whatever your plans.
No, thank you. We'll look forward to, you know, coming here once again down the future, and then chatting and see how everything develops, and look forward to it. Thank you, Mile.
Thank you one more time.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Dragi gledalci, nadam se da ste uživali u našem razgovoru, da ste čuli neke, ajde kažemo, veoma zanimljive stvari koje se dešavaju u Australiji, od njihovog projekta, kako to sve izgleda. Imate sad te informacije, možete i da pratite ligu, veoma je dinamična, zanimljiva, ajde kažemo, i oni su rekli, možda i posle NBA najbolje organizovana liga u svetu, i ako sam dobro upamtio, jedina liga na svetu koja je u vlasništvu jednog čovjeka. Tako da nadam se da ste uživali u razgovoru. Momci, hvala vam na izdvojenom vremenu, bilo mi je čast i zadovoljstvo, a sada kao svaki srpski domaćin da mi pređemo u kafanu i da nastavimo naš razgovor. Hvala i vama na odvojenom vremenu. Vidimo se već sljedeće srede u onom našem, to jest standardnom formatu od preko 2 sata. Pozdrav i doviđenja.
Welcome to John Cain Arena for one of the best spectacles in Australia. Australian sport. You see it right there. There's plenty of players in this game capable of blowing the roof off the venue, Lennard Copeland. But you know what? We'll make it a little easier. We'll throw it off ourselves. It is open air night at the NBL as Melbourne United take on the Cairns Taipans. United, a powerhouse of usual, but just struggling a little bit this year with the Cairns Taipans. They've been the surprise packet this year.
The question is, does round 6 get mentioned? On that particular occasion, Cairns belted Melbourne 97-72, and at one stage led by 40. Melbourne were humiliated. Does it get raised ahead of tonight? Couldn't go coast to coast. Now Peatling with his head down has Tucker all alone. Got it.
Well, I don't think it's any coincidence when you look at Melbourne United and their improvement over the last month.
Well, and this push of the ball will really please Dean Vickerman. Grab it off the defensive glass, push it down that middle cylinder, and bang, finds the shooter on the arc.
All that on the Amy replay. Ratan May's also in. Melbourne are cooking early on. My word, they're cooking!
Great find. Those two have a very nice chemistry.
Quare up, hands off to Tucker. He spins inside and scores.
It's quick and it's athletic. Little drop step, and one of the players that aren't able to elevate. There's Chris Golding just shooting it from outer space. And you see how he leaped out. So it wasn't a traditional, good old-fashioned basket hanging. It was closing out and continuing on. And there's that spin move I talk about. And it's one thing to have the spin, it's another thing to have the elevation at the end of it. And that's what Tucker can do.
A game-high 12-point lead for Melbourne United. And here's Tucker in motion. Back-to-back threes. It's a 15-point game. 41-31, 4:17 before halftime. Let's get down to Felix von Hoff.
Jack, if you are looking for the happiest woman in the building, it is Tawana right next to me as her son, Rajon Tucker, just smacked 2 triples in a row. How proud are you?
It's just awesome to be here and to know that he's doing the things he's doing, getting opportunity. It is great. It's great.
I hear you from the back row, Melbourne United.
I know you
Gets
did.
you down. And Tevin, how proud of your brother, and how amazing is this atmosphere?
Hey, I love it here. I love my brother, and we going crazy.
Well, the sun is set on John Cain Arena, but it certainly hasn't set on the chances of the Cairns Taipans as they continue to cut into this margin and fight back into the game, Lennard Copeland.
Absolutely. Mirko Juric has shut Goulding down. He's in Goulding's pants. He's playing extremely well. He's got him frustrated.
He is certainly a thorn in his side.
6-point game at John Cain Arena with the roof open tonight. What a magical setting it is. A big shout out to everyone that's in the house tonight. There's a few of the Melbourne Boomers girls. Tess Madgen in the front row, and there's Danny Minogue as well. Wouldn't miss a Melbourne game for all the money in the world, would she?
She's at every single game.
And there is the great man.
Larry Kestelman, who is the owner of the NBL. And he'd be delighted with what he's seeing here this evening in regards to packed house, magnificent pitches, beautiful Melbourne night, and a high-quality game of basketball.
Important possession here for Cairns out of the timeout. It's something going their way. McCall stuffs it inside for Pinder. He forces it in.
So Vickerman puts his best defender, Shayili, on DJ Ho.
Cairns to send this one to overtime. Trailing by 3. McCall got it away. Misses. United hang on. What a contest. All the way to the end. And Melbourne United make it 4 of their last 5 and are starting to get some serious momentum. United take their season record to 9-11. We're going to come back and break it all down on the other side of this. Melbourne win 84-81 in the open air game.